I closed the book, and for the very first time during this reading journey, I didn't know what to say. Not because I understood everything, but because I understood just enough to realize how much I still don't understand. Every chapter challenged one belief. This final chapter challenged the way I look at life itself. Hey everyone, welcome back to Robust Quill. This is the fifth and the final night of my reading journey through The Courage to Be Disliked. And honestly, if I had to describe this book in one word, it would be confusing. Not confusing because it's badly written, confusing because every chapter asks you to question ideas you have carried your entire life. The philosopher begins by talking something about called self-acceptance, and I love that distinction he makes. Self-acceptance isn't pretending you're perfect, it's not standing in front of a mirror and saying, I can do anything. Instead, it's looking at reality honestly. Maybe you failed an exam, maybe you made a mistake, maybe things didn't go according to your plan. You don't deny those facts, you accept them. And then you ask yourself, what can I do from here? That felt much more practical than blind positivity. Then the philosopher says something that surprised me. He talks about having confidence in other people, not because they've guaranteed they will never hurt you, but because you choose to trust anyway. That doesn't mean people won't disappoint you, they might, but whether they betray your trust, it's their task. Whether you choose to trust is yours. I don't know if that's easy, but I do think it's a beautiful way to think about relationships. Then comes another idea. The philosopher says our value doesn't come from being extraordinary, it comes from contributing. Not contributing because we want applause and not because someone is watching, but because we quietly know that our existence has made someone else's life a little better. I really like that thought. Then the book challenges another modern belief. It says, don't become workaholic. At first I thought, isn't working hard a good thing? But the philosopher explains, if work becomes your entire identity, you slowly stop living the rest of your life. You begin using your work to avoid everything else, family, relationships, your own growth. That made me stop because I think many of us confuse being busy with living well. Then came my favorite idea from the entire chapter. The philosopher says, life isn't a straight line. It's not a mountain you're trying to climb. It's not something waiting for you in the future. Life is a series of moments. Imagine dancing. When you dance, you aren't trying to reach a destination. The dance itself is the purpose. That's how Edler asks us to live, not constantly waiting for tomorrow, but living here and now. Finally, the youth asks the biggest question of all, what is the meaning of life? And the philosopher gives an answer I wasn't expecting. He says, there isn't one waiting to be discovered. The meaning of life is the meaning you choose to give it. That idea felt strangely freeing because it means we are not searching for one perfect purpose, we are creating one every single day. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think I fully understood this book. There were chapters where I agreed immediately, and there were chapters where I wanted to argue with the philosopher. And there were moments where I simply closed the book and sat quietly. But maybe that's exactly what a good book is supposed to be. It doesn't always gives you answers, sometimes it gives you better questions. The biggest thing I'll take from this final chapter is this, that I don't have to solve my entire life today. I don't have to figure out the next 10 years tonight. All I truly have is this moment. And if I can live this moment with honesty, with courage, and with intention, maybe that's enough. If I had to keep just one sentence from this entire book, it would be this. Shine a brilliant light on the here and now. Because when you focus on the moment, the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future both becomes a little lighter. And with that, I've reached the end of The Courage to Be Disliked. This wasn't just a reading journey, it became a journey of questioning the way I think. Thank you for being part of it. In the next video, I won't be talking about a single chapter. I'll be sharing the book left behind in me, the ideas I agreed with, the ideas I struggled with, and whether I think this book is actually practical. Until then, read, reflect, grow.